glorious, glorious history. Ooh. Mud. Mud. All right, gotta go. So installment 5, we gotta mix it up a little bit. We gotta kind of change up our routine, simply because we're gonna be hanging out in the lake bottom. This is the, well, we're actually approaching tunnel 3, but the tunnel 2, at least the eastern portal, was underwater. Tunnel 3 is underwater, and tunnel 4 is underwater. Well, I should say they are underwater. When California isn't experiencing one of its droughts. So we're going to be hanging out down here for a while and see what little remains. It's kind of amazing when you think about it. These tunnels are, right about 97 years old, if I'm doing my math correctly. And they've been underwater, off and on, but for the most part underwater, since 1966. And they are still here. So let's move on with installment 5. See what we find here today. It's cold, a little bit chilly. All right, we ended installment 4 kind of right down at the bottom of where this is the runoff for the spillway, which is right here in front of us. I must love you guys because it is cold out here. It's like 44 degrees, which that wouldn't be so bad, but there's a pretty good breeze going out here. Wow. That's quite a structure, man. And our railroad is somewhere beneath us here. It's been a long time since I've been down here. I'm not even sure. I think I went right through here to get down to the old roadbed. We'll find out. All right, we're out here near the eastern portal to tunnel 2, but if you can see right below us, this cut here, that is the old roadbed right there. It goes along the shoreline. And looking back this way, we're looking upstream or towards what would have been the next stop on the YV would have been Barrett Station. But between us and Barrett Station is actually tunnel 3. We'll go there after a while, but I want to show you. Here's the old roadbed, falling along the shoreline. Back in the days of the Exchequer Lake, this would have been almost full water level. They, from what I can recall from reading the information in Jack's book, when the lake was full, it was about 25 feet beneath the roadbed. So we're probably looking at about 25 feet, maybe a little more, but close enough for us to get an idea of what it would have looked like. We're a little bit closer. Man, it is muddy out here. You can tell it's been raining. But look at this. We are here. Tunnel 2. Even the 1925 stamp is still sitting in place. Just like it was, what is it, 97? Yeah, about 90, 22, yeah, about 96 years ago. Look at that. We'll see if we can get a little closer. There's always some really interesting noises coming out of this tunnel. Now, what makes this interesting, this is tunnel 2. The second longest of the 4 tunnels, I believe this was like 900, I forget again, but I'll put it up on the screen. Had a pretty good bend in the middle, and when they built Lake McClure in 1966, they had to plug this tunnel so the water wouldn't get out. I've always been curious to see how they plugged it, but there's a lot of standing water in this tunnel, so I'm not going to hike down there and see how they plugged it. Hopefully the mic is picking up some of the sounds. This is at least the second time I've been down here, maybe the third, but I'll always remember this tunnel with mysterious sounds. The one other unique characteristic of Tunnel 2 is this is where passengers of the YV would have first got a glimpse of Exchequer Lake. Would have come through Tunnel 2, through here, and again the water level would have been right about where it's at now if the lake was full. Come around this bend, and there would have been Lake McClure, or I'm sorry, Lake Exchequer off to your right. Of course, back in those days, you wouldn't have had all this erosion from the modern day lake, but in fact, I'll dig out another old photo. Actually, not from this point, a little farther down. Let me hike down there. So I think our photo would have been roughly right about here. You could see the cut where it went into the hillside, but you could not actually see the opening to Tunnel 2. But what a cool view this would have been. Of course, the houseboats wouldn't have been out there, but so as I was leaving, hiking back up the hill, probably a good half a mile away, is the old Exchequer Dam. I was going to hike that today, but then when I saw how much water's in the lake, I realized that back when it was at 7% and we hiked over there, I actually recorded some video. So I'm going to show that to you instead. Can you see me waving? Because back when I recorded that, there was much more of the dam showing than what would be showing today. So there's really no point in going back and doing it again when what I recorded several years ago is actually going to show you more. All right, there's my disclaimer for being lazy. Okay, so based on my scientific analysis of what's laying around me here on the lake bottom, you need 2 things for a successful outing on the boat. You need gasoline and beer. Look at that. That is so cool. These guys are obviously enjoying the quiet day. I say that like I'm the duck whisperer, huh? So as I'm walking out, I noticed something I did not see on the way in. But look right over here, man. Right in the center of your screen. So it looks like the remains of an old homestead. Oh, that is so cool. You know, when you see that, you just got to wonder, what is the history of that? That has to predate anything that was going on here with the with the YV. There's definitely some gold mining and panning down in the Merced River, which is would be the left of your screen. So who knows what this is? Part of an old miner shack? Okay, I want to show you something. Hopefully it shows up on camera. Something the YV engineers are worried about. Not the operating engineers of the trains, but the architects and the guys that were designing or laying out the new right-of-way in 1926. They knew that by moving it up the hill from where it was before, down there in the canyon, that the train got a little steeper, a little rougher, so they had to do a lot of fill-in. And that's what's going on right here in front of us. A big section is filled in. Well, hopefully you can see it on the screen. You see how it dips from where we're at to where all the way across. There's the dip here, so the soil, it compacts, it kind of slides down the hill. And that was something the engineers and the architects were worried about. And certain areas of the YV, in fact, Barrett's station being a good example. We'll get there in a little bit. But you can see it here. Of course, obviously this has been saturated and underwater off and on since 1966. But their concerns were apparently justified. All right, let's see what else we can find over here. This is definitely a little more walkable than Tunnel 2. These guys are getting a little bit noisy as I get closer. Oh man. All right, our goal is to get over here. Our guardians at the gate might have other ideas. I don't know, let's see how this goes. One of them is definitely getting louder as I get closer. They are not happy. Not happy. Come on, fellas, I'll stay down here. You stay up there, I'll stay down here. Oh, wow. I kind of feel bad about that. Sorry, guys. That was not my objective. That is an old telegraph pole. Oh man, how cool is that? So there we are looking east towards Barrett Station. West towards Exchequer and Tunnel 2. This is it's an interesting old structure here. Well, what was once a structure. I actually asked Jack if he knew what this was, and its significance in YV history, and Jack wasn't sure. So this is kind of a mystery building. It was obviously built. Look at the thickness of this concrete. It was built with a purpose. Wow, look at this. And just a little ways from the western portal of Tunnel 3. All right, here you go. Center of your screen. That's an old tree. That is a telegraph pole. I feel like it's a bonus every time I find one of those. We'll move on up to Tunnel 3. This is something. Wow. Well, that'll get your attention. Had several rocks rolling down. I don't mind the small ones, as long as there's not big ones chasing them. All right, we are at Tunnel 3. Wow, this is the longest tunnel here. The longest of the four. This one, I know it was more than 1,600 feet long. I want to say 1,655. whatever it was. It was long. Here's what's curious though. So over here on the right in the middle of your screen, that would have had a number 3 in it at one time. And then of course at the top of the arch, that would have had 1925. Kind of like what we saw at, not kind of like, probably exactly like what we saw at Tunnel 2 and Tunnel 1. Wow, somebody got a cool little souvenir. So when I was here and hiked this last, roughly about 5 years ago, we actually did hike through this tunnel. We're not doing that today. There's way too much water. And we have too much ground to cover for me to be hiking through. But we did hike this thing, and it took, I just remember it took a long time to get through there. And this thing, look, I don't know if you can see it. Hopefully it picks it up. Look at the sediment in this tunnel. This thing is full of sediment and water. It's also full of cracks here, man. Look at these right here in front of us. There's a lot of concrete starting to bust loose from there. So, and right along this wall here, pretty good structural compromise going on, but still standing. All right, now I'm going to geek out a little bit, so bear with me. You remember in Tunnel 1, it looked like they had like 4x8 plywood panels set up as the forms, and they poured the concrete. This looks like they had like 1x6 or 2x6 on the walls. And you can see, hopefully you can see, that's how they did the curvature, man. Real. And as you get up here where the curve is, much narrower pieces of lumber to create the arch. And here you can see that arch, man, is just resting right on top of the wall. Wow, that's amazing piece of engineering. The graffiti people got down here too. Again, nice work as graffiti goes, but yeah, I just hate to see that. Now I do have a photo, and I believe it's facing this way, that Jack gave me many years ago. I'll dig it out, and it's basically from the back of the train. It looked quite a bit different, obviously. So this is Tunnel 3. I could only imagine the sounds of what it was like traveling through here in the train. All right, let's get to the other side. All right, so here's another cool little section of roadbed where we're not going to go down on this particular one, not from up here anyway. This is, you're looking down at the western end of tunnel number 4. And we're going to access that from the Barrett station side, but you can see the roadbed comes down through here, goes down through this pretty narrow canyon, and right there, just over that edge, you can see a little bit of the concrete, which would be the east end of Tunnel 3, where we just came from. Those guys are cheating. You gotta do it on foot, man. Make it count. All right, so things are hopping here at what's now called Barrett Cove. Here's the old roadbed. It crosses right across the boat ramp where those trucks are. It kind of goes around the bend. Why am I saying kind of? Not kind of. It does go around the bend and follows the lake. We'll go that way in a moment, but for now, we're gonna hike this way. And this will take us to Tunnel 4. And a really long, well, the remains of a really long bridge. And as I was driving here, I realized I forgot what bridge it is. By the way, I think I misspoke earlier in one of the videos when I said the bridges were numbered by basically how many were built. For example, Bridge 3 would be the third one built, or at least the third one from the YV station, Merced. That's not true. They were numbered after the mile, however many miles they were from the Merced station. So, for example, if it was at mile marker 3, it'd be Bridge 3. The one there at Farron's Park in Merced, Bridge 3A, that was 3 miles from the YV station there in Merced. So, in Installment 4, I took you to Tunnel 1 and Bridge 31A. We're coming up to a really long bridge here that I can't remember what mile it is from YV, but I do want to show you this. Check this out. Some of the old, these are not telegraph poles, the remains of them. These are actually, looks like there was some kind of a rail up here. This is pretty cool. And they go along both sides. And again, that lake level is about what it would have been when the lake was full with the old Exchequer dam. So this would have been our view. Obviously, without all the terraces cut into the hillside by Lake McClure, but remove those for a moment, put in some oak trees, some greenery, and this would have been the view as we traversed the rails between 1926 and 1945. Wait a minute, you see that? Another one. By the way, look at this roadbed here. It's just about gone. Although this way, very obvious where it was. Again, man, I'm thinking this had to be a spectacular view back in the day. Look at this. Ooh, that stuff is slippery. Look at this, guys. Bonus. 2 of them. 2 here. Another one up on the hill right there. In the middle of your screen. Far out, man. I feel like a modern day archaeologist. You get back in these little cuts, man, there's where all the wind is blocked, it is like eerie quiet. Alright, you can see the cut there right on the side of the hill. And then right here, look at the erosion. There are sections here where there's nothing left of the roadbed. You got a little bit here, but here is what we're looking for. Look at that. That's bridge. We're going to call it Bridge 35A until I figure out exactly what bridge it is. And then just beyond, off in the distance, right in the middle of your screen, is the east end of Tunnel 4. That's where we're headed, but we're going to stop here first. Have a look around. This is a pretty spectacular bridge. Pretty good span. This is definitely a whole lot more eroded than back in the day. Wow, this is looking pretty Looking pretty sketchy for the future. Look at that. I'd be skeptical saying that's an old tie, but it does have just the one spike hole right in the end of it. Pretty impressive if that's what it is. All right, let's work ourselves around this point. All right, well, I know there's no logic to this, but I think it actually looks longer from over here. Again, man, what a view from your coach seat back in the day. I'm not seeing anything indicating what year this was built, unfortunately. But check this out. These are just laying right out here in the open. If those aren't the original, I'd be surprised, because those are some old pieces of hardware, right down to that square-headed nut. All right, I'm moving quick because we're running out of sunlight, but so hopefully this is smooth. But look how good a condition it is still through here. Wow, what a contrast, because it's been pretty eroded back there, as I showed you. This here, by contrast, it looks like you could just move a few rocks out of the way and lay some rails, man. I don't know if that shows up or not, but I've been noticing some homes right up on the bluffs here. Employee homes, maybe, the MIT stuff. Pretty good view. All right, I'm looking for a wide area here. In other words, an area that's wider than the normal right-of-way. We're just to the east of Tunnel 4, and there was a siding, S-I-D-I-N-G, not siding as an eyesight, but there was a siding, meaning we had two rails, and this is the meetup point. So the westbound train would meet the eastbound train, and the engineers, brakemen, and whoever else is on the train, they would actually just swap trains. And so the Merced's crew would head back on to Merced. The El Portal crew would hop on the eastbound train and continue to El Portal. Pretty clever arrangement. As long as the guy that just handed you the train was handling business and taking care of his equipment. Smart birds. All right, we're here. The east end of Tunnel 4. Yeah, once again, the number 4 has been removed, as has the 1925. But our tunnel's still here. All right, we're burning daylight. Tunnel 4 is one of two tunnels that have a bend in them. The other one being tunnel number 2. All right, we're gonna hike up here. get close enough to get a view of the east end of tunnel 3. And then we gotta get back. I got a pretty good hike ahead of me, and that sunlight's getting ready to drop behind the mountains. How cool is this, you guys? How freaking cool is this? All right. Somebody's down here in Jeeps and quads. Cheaters. Pretty amazing. Amazing this stuff's still here. All right. And there's a roadbed in front of us. It's a pretty good distance to tunnel 3. All right, I'm going to try and at least get to within line of sight before we lose too much more sunlight. See what happens. Now look at this. There's a whole lot of the old ballast still here. How about that? A lot of ballast still here. But if you want to see how much earth it takes to build a railroad, look at this. We're on quite a mound of dirt and gravel right here. I'm assuming a whole lot of it came out of the tunnel. Man, there's a whole lot of runoff going here. All right, you guys, I think it's right around this bend. And we will be there. That is muddy and nasty. And we're not going to get too much closer, but look at this, guys. There we are. Eastern portal of tunnel 3. Now that would have been a pretty dramatic effect. Come out of that tunnel, opens up into this big wide area here. I wouldn't call it a canyon, probably more like a cut. And continue on down to number 4. Look at this, guys. That's the stuff that'll make you think twice about coming in. Wow, look at this. Oh my goodness. Wow. Look at this. Wow. Is that showing up? Look at this. Oh, wow. Yeah. It does make you wonder how much time we got left before these things are just gone. Or at least you can't walk them anymore. Look at that. Wow. And you can actually hear the water dripping right down below us here. Wow. Wow, look at that. Oh boy. All right. Am I showing up yet? There's an exercise in lighting. Well, it's not. I'm just geeking out. Check this out. How's that, huh? Oh, I think this is, I do have a photo from Jack, of course. Man, I tell you, Jack is indispensable. Jack needs to be doing these videos. He does so much of a better job than I ever could do. But I'm doing my best, Jack. But Jack provided me a photo of the exit of Tunnel 4. And coming out, and much like Tunnel 2, you come out and boom, there's your lakeside view. All right, so we're gonna leave behind Tunnel 4. Wow, that I'd never get tired of hiking these things. I really would not. All right, this is one of those things makes you wonder how you missed it on first pass. Look at this. This looks like a bobcat, y'all. Look at that. Yeah, this is remains of a bobcat. Wow. And just now I just stopped for a final view and found this old rail tie. So it makes you wonder, was this left behind after the salvaging operation in 1945, or does it actually predate that? All been lost to history. All right, let's get on out of here. All right, we're going to call this a wrap for the day. I wanted to get the Barrett station. I kind of had a feeling we would run out of daylight. It's still winter. Days are really, really short. So I think we'll just plug that into the next video, which, what is that? Yeah, installment 6. So this should wrap up installment 5. And I think it was a good hike. Good hike. Got a late start, but we're here. And glad we saw what we saw. It's looking pretty rough. So anyway, let's call it good. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you continue following along. Wow, man, this is it's kind of fun watching how this thing's playing out. So let's not make plans. Let's do what we got to do. It takes whatever time it takes. We'll make it happen. So thanks again for following along. We will see you in the next video. So check this out. This looks like some kind of a wasteland. All the erosion there, and look at all this out here. Man, oh man, oh man. But in the midst of it all, look at that. Right in the middle of your screen. Another telegraph pole. Ah, the glory.